Enchanté 1 का leçon 1, that is lesson 1, les lettres et les nombres. Les lettres, which means the letters, et les nombres, which means the numbers. Les alphabets. So when we talk of letters, we obviously have to know about the French alphabet. Now, often when people start learning a new language, they always wonder, हमारा नाम इस लैंग्वेज में कैसे लिखा जाएगा? So one thing that we must know about the French language is, इसके alphabets भी English की तरह same ही है. But what is different is the pronunciation of those alphabets, and that is what we're going to learn. Comme en anglais, il y a 26 lettres en français. It means, like in English, in French also, there are 26 letters. Il y a 21 consonnes et 5 voyelles. There are 21 consonants and 5 words, like in English. So, different क्या है? Let's learn the difference. Leçon. Leçon, which is the sound of these alphabets. Okay? As the alphabets keep coming on screen, just try to repeat after me. Let's begin. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. What you can do right now is pause the video and try to pronounce the alphabets one time by yourself. So before we move on, there's something I want you to do. Open your notebooks and draw a table. I'll tell you why. Wait. A table like this big, full page table would suffice. And draw columns. This is my way of drawing tables. So yeah. Make columns. Where here in the first one you write alphabet. The second one you write English. And this third column you write French. But ma'am, why are we doing this? We are doing this because we are now going to learn some new vocabulary. So right now, as I continue the PPT, you will see some pictures on screen. Okay? You will identify those pictures in English and then write what we call them in French. Okay? Let's begin. The first two pictures are here on your screens. You know what you call them in English, but what I will be telling you is what you call them in French. The first image is of a donkey, and a donkey in French is called âne. Âne. From B, we have bat. Bat. We move on to the next two pictures. The next two pictures are of clay. Clay is a key. And from the letter D, they, we have dauphin, dauphin. The next two images on screen, you can write them down quickly in English by pausing the video. And let's now see what do we call them in French. A, éléphant, éléphant. Elephant in English is called éléphant in French. Then you see a small little girl here who's called a fille, fille in French. The next two images are right here on your screens. This is from the letter G, gâteau. A cake in English is gâteau in French. This picture right here is of a young man, and a man in French is called homme. Homme. Here, the next two images on your screen from the letters I and J, igloo, igloo. And then from J we have jupe. A skirt in English is called jupe in French. Ooh, these are interesting. The first image might be confusing for some. Second image is easy. So the first image is from the letter K, kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is in English a device where when you see inside the tube, you see colorful patterns because there are mirrors inside. And then from L, we have limonade. Just repeat after me. Limonade. Moving on to the next two. From the letters M and N, we have maïs. Maïs, which is sweet corn or corn, maïs. And nest in English is called nid in French. Nid. The next two images, a fruit and a vegetable. From the letters O and P, we have oignon. So be very mindful of the pronunciation here. Oignon. And from the letter P, we have pomme. The next two images, this is a number, and that another one you know is a ruler right here, which are from the letters Q and R. Quatre. Number 4 in French is quatre. Then règle. Règle. The next two images from the letters S and T in French. Soleil. Sun is soleil. And then you have a teacup called tasse. Tasse. Again, there's a number and an instrument from the letters U and V. They are A. The number 1 in French is A. And the next one is a violin. In French, we call it violon. Violon. The next two images on screen, you have wagon. Wagon. It's the same in English, or people call it a cart as well. And then again, we have a playful instrument, a xylophone, same in French, xylophone. The pronunciation a little different, xylophone. And now we move to the last two letters, which are Y and Z. From Y, we have Y. Pair of eyes called Y. And from Z, we have a zebra, which is called a zebra. Zebra. So, this way we learned 26 new words in French today. Now, I don't know how many of you noticed, but in the previous slides, there were some words which had these small marks on them. Like we did mice. We had two dots on I. We did elephant. We had these two marks on the E's. We just saw zebra with a left side mark on an E. So, what are these things? These small little characters in French are called les accents. Les accents. Just like मात्रा हिंदी में बहुत जरूरी है क्योंकि शब्द का मतलब बदल जाता है उसके बिना. Similarly, accents के बिना भी French words अधूरे हैं. So, what exactly are these accents? Les accents sont des caractères mis sur des lettres en français qui modifient la prononciation des lettres pour produire des nouveaux sons. And most of you like, मैम आपने ये क्या बोला? So ये देखिए, accents are the characters which we put on letters in French. They modify the pronunciation of the letters so that there's a difference in their sound. Okay? And let's see how many accents are there in French. So the image right here shows us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoa, a weird face, right? So there are in total 5 different accents in French. The first one, l'accent aigu, which is a small diagonal hyphen towards the right. And this l'accent aigu is only found in the vowel E. Next, we have l'accent grave, a small diagonal line towards the left. This we find on 3 vowels, E, A, and U. After that, we have le circonflexe. Le circonflexe is a small chapeau we put over all the 5 vowels whenever required. Next, we have cédille, a small inverted C-like thing, which we put under letter C. And finally, we have le tréma, the 2 dots, which we put on vowels E and I. But ma'am, what is this? Like, how does that matter? How does the letter sound changes with these accents? So let's look at that. L'accent aigu, which is found in E, and the grave accent, l'accent grave, found on A, E, and U, are used to indicate the quality of the vowel sound represented by the letter E. So now one thing to note here is when used with letters other than E, l'accent grave does not indicate a sound difference. But in those cases, it serves to differentiate words which have same spelling but different meanings. Okay, so these are some examples right here on your screens. I know this part is not in your books, but it's always good to know why actually we're using these accents, and this makes memorizing them and understanding where to put them easier for you. Next accent is the circumflex or l'accent circumflex, and it is placed over a vowel to show that the vowel so marked has a long sound quality, like gato. If that cap wasn't there, it would be gato, gato, but with a cap, it became gato, gato. Tête, which is the head. Hotel. So basically, I'm stressing on the vowel on which the cap is placed. Flute. Il. Okay, so this is the use of circumflex. The next accent is the cedilla or la cédille. As we learned earlier, the pronunciation of the letter C is say. But when the letter C is followed by A, O, or U, we put the cedilla to emphasize on the S sound. Ça va, garçon, français. But when the letter C is followed by alphabets E and I, we do not put a cedilla on it. Okay, so this is your basic difference. And finally, we move on to our last accent, which is the diaresis, the thaima, and it is used with vowels to indicate that they are pronounced separately. So there might be words where two vowels are coming together, but we want to pronounce them separately, like mais. A and I were coming together, but I wanted each vowel to have its independent sound. So I put the trema on the second vowel. So that becomes mais. Noel. Noel is Christmas. Okay. So these are the uses of the accents in French, and this helps making our pronunciation better. Knowing how to pronounce the letters well helps us improve our command over the French language. With this, let's move on to a very interesting concept of Épelons les noms. Alphabets की sound करा दी, vocabulary करा दी, accents भी करा दी, इन सबका use कहाँ है? So now, since you know all of this, let us start building conversations in French, because now you will be able to read words with a better pronunciation as well as spell words using the French alphabet sounds. So that is the entire notion behind Épelons les noms. Épelons is the verb which means to spell. Les noms means the names. So let's spell our names, but not using the English alphabet sounds, rather the French ones. So before we actually learn how to spell our names, we should actually know how to ask someone's name. So how do we say that in French? In French, we ask the question, comment tu t'appelles? Comment tu t'appelles? Which means, what is your name? And to reply to this, we say, je m'appelle. For example, in the book, we have Elise. Je m'appelle Elise. So if someone comes and asks, Madame, comment tu t'appelles? I would say, je m'appelle Radhika. Now, maybe that person doesn't understand and wants to know further the spelling of my name. So, he or she would ask, tu peux épeler ton nom? Tu peux épeler ton nom? Can you spell your name for me? So here I would not do mine first. I would do Elise's name first, which is V-A-L-E-S-E. It is not E-L-I-S-E anymore. Since we've learned the French alphabet, it becomes A-L-E-S-E. So what I want you to practice right now is, by pausing the video, take a pen and paper, write down your name, first name only, find out the pronunciations of those letters, and try to practice spelling your name using the French alphabet. Okay? Now, this is a very small yet cute dialogue in the book right here, where someone says, comment tu t'appelles? And the person replies by saying, je m'appelle Cathy. K-A-T-Y. Lavigne. L-A-V-I-Z-N-E. So here the person's telling her name, Cathy Lavigne, as well as spelling it out for the other person. Now, here Kathy Lavine told her first name as well as the last name. But what do we call a first name in French? First name is known as prénom and last name is known as nom. Do you also notice something different here? Prénom is written the same way we write in English, but the nom is written in capital. And why is that so? Let's look at it and understand. Comment écrit-on les noms? How do we write names in French? Here we have a person called Joseph Martin, who in writing has written his name as Martin, which is in capital, Joseph, which is his first name. The other person we have Lavine Cathy. Cathy is her first name and Lavine her last name. So do you see when we speak our names in French, we say it just like in English. First name first, last name last. But when we write it down in IDs, documents, or any official papers, we write our last name first, and our last name is always in the capital letters. Okay? So in IDs and official documents in France, we write our surname or the last name before our first name, and we write it in capital. Okay? So this is something new and different that we must remember. So, small task for you. Comment tu t'appelles? Can you write that down for me in your note? Confused ho rahe ho na? Let me give you an example right here. Je m'appelle Radhika. Single. First name first, last name last. But when I write it down, I'd say my prénom is Radhika and nom is single. Please note, when asked separately, I wrote prénom with only the first alphabet in capital, whereas my nom is entire capital. These are some little things that you have to know while filling out official documents in France. With this, we've finally completed all about the letters. We have learned the sounds of alphabets. We have learned some 26 new words of vocabulary. We have understood the use of accents in French. And now we also know how to ask someone's name as well as how to write our own name in French. Let us now learn numbers in French. Hello, apprendre les nombres. Let's go and learn some numbers in French. Let's begin. Number 1 is called un. 2. Please repeat after me, okay? 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. So let's look at them once again in a table. Just keep on repeating after me, okay? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these were our numbers from 0 to 10. Let's move on and let's do till 20 today. onze, onze, douze, douze, treize, treize, quatorze, quatorze, quinze, quinze, seize, seize. Now, there's something interesting to note for number 17. We don't have a unique word for number 17. Instead, it is formed by combining number 10 and 7. So 10 plus 7 is 17, and that's how we get the set. The set. So you can guess number 18. The wheat. The wheat. And number 19 will be the enough. The enough. So these are three unique numbers which are formed by combining tens and ones. Okay. Now, number 20 in French is called va. Va. So let's again look at all of them together. Repeat after me, okay? Onze, douze, treize, quatorze, quinze, seize, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Now, we're done with both letters as well as numbers. But how can I end the session without a practice exercise, right? Radhika, and we're only going to practice writing numbers. You just have to calculate and write in words. No, not just the answers, but the entire equation. Like the first one I've done for you. 3 multiplied by 3 equals to 9. We say that in English, right? How do we say that in French? 3 fois 3 égale 9. Slightly difficult, right? But this way, you get to practice all your numbers as well as your maths all at the same time. But you must know how to say these symbols, right? So, addition is plus, subtraction is moins, multiplication is fois, and equals to is égal. So be good kids, pause the video and try this exercise right away. Okay? And some of you who won't do it despite saying, let's look at the answers together. 3 fois 3 égale 9. This we've already done. 11 plus 8 égale 19. 10 plus 5 égale 15. 20 moins 13 égale 7. 8 plus 7 égale 15. 17 moins 1 égale 16. 2 fois 7 égale 14. Et 10 moins 10 égale 0. Very good. If you did it by yourself, and even if you didn't, I would love if you would try this exercise at least once. So with this, we end our lesson. C'est la fin du leçon. I'll meet you in the next class for the next session. Au revoir.